Hi, good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Eileen, and with me, I have my teammate Min.
Yes, that's me.
And together, we are your facilitators for this session. And while we are waiting for the rest to come in, okay, I'm looking at all the people. Um, for those of you who might be new to us, I want to start off by introducing who we are and what we do. Hey, we are IBF Careers Connect, and we are a career center that sits within Singapore's banking and financial services sector. And these three areas are what we do to support job seekers who are trying to get into the sector and or move around within the sector. So the first area, job search skills and drills, is where you will work one-on-one with a career coach no matter which part of the job search journey you are in, to work on your which jobs to apply for, what makes sense for your season of life, resume writing, and then your coach can also work with you to practice and improve your job interviewing skills. And we do also help people with their LinkedIn profiles. So that's area number one, where your coach works with you one-on-one. And as a career center sitting within the financial sector, we also have on our panel a number of industry professionals, practitioners who are currently in industry. And we do organize virtual and in-person events where you can come and meet them and talk to them and ask them questions. And the third area that we support people who are trying to move into or navigate within the sector is that we do organize events that are in person and where you get to meet face-to-face employers and or recruiters. So for those of you who are new to us, or you have been with us for quite some time but have never attended such an event before, we do encourage you that the next time we organize this, please do come and meet us in person. And even if the event does not look relevant to you, the chance to meet with the actual hiring manager and or a recruiter or employer is a very precious one. So encourage you to sign up. Yep.
Very true indeed. Hope to see more of you.
Yep. Okay, so we are ready to start. Welcome everybody once again. And today we are talking about career crossroads, um, and Min and I usually like to run this in a very interactive manner, and we encourage all of you to ask as many questions as you can. So we just want to make sure that everyone knows where the Q&A panel is. And as our usual practice, we always try to answer all the questions during the session. So our first question to our audience is, how many of you are at a career crossroads right now? Key in yes if you are, or no if you're not.
So please try to key this in the Q&A box, right? Not the chat box. Yeah.
And for those of you who are shy, there is the option to type in your responses anonymously, so make use of that. Yes, we see your responses.
More yes, I would say.
Yes. Okay, define career crossroads. Yes, returning to the workforce is considered a career crossroads. And a career crossroads can be anything where you're stuck, you do not know where to go. Should you go upwards? Should you go sideways? Or should you make other choices? So that defines it. For the attendee who gave a upside down smiley face, never fear, we are here to help. And we hope that today's session is really our heart to help everyone here. So minimally, we would like everyone to walk away from this session empowered, not just with knowledge, but also with a renewed sense of confidence that you've really got this. And if you need help, feel free to sign up with us if you're not already with us. Okay. So that was our first question. What was the first thing you did when you realized that you were at a crossroads? And yeah, I invite the audience to type in what were some of the first things you did when you realized that you were at the crossroads.
Again, we invite you to type your response in the Q&A box. These
And those
days there's ChatGPT, right, Elaine?
yeah.
There's a lot of tools out there, ChatGPT, Copilot. Could it be that one of your first response was to talk to ChatGPT?
How many of you so far have consulted Google on your job search? Using LinkedIn? Yes. Thank you, Sandy. Resume, connect with past contacts as much as possible. Thank you for that.
Thanks,
Build
Annie.
into CV. Yes. Take assessment tests like RISAC. Okay, Sasikala, I invite you to use the Q&A. Same for Sui Sing. Thank you for responding. Okay, and how many of you have consulted your friends? Friends, yeah. Ex-colleagues or colleagues. So I know Sandy has connected with his or her past contacts.
So
And how? Mhm.
yeah, if one of the first people that you look out to is your friends or your ex-colleagues, just feel free to put in friends in the Q&A box or
Yeah.
colleagues, or put in colleagues if it's colleagues that you reach out to first.
And how many of you consulted ChatGPT? Type AI. Taking a boot camp to upskill. Okay, thank you for that. You have done your research and you are taking a boot camp to upskill. You're not sure how hiring managers view mid-career switches in the job market. So later, I'll get Min to share with you some of her perspectives. Thank you,
And Sui
lecturer.
Sing, yeah, lecturer.
Thank you, Sui Sing, friends, ex-colleagues, AI, and Google search. Okay, thank you for that. Now, thank you for responding. We wanted to take this chance to know our audience better so that we can answer all your questions better. And we do want to encourage all of you to ask as many questions as you can, because the more you ask, the more we can expound on our answers. And believe me, we have a lot to share. So before working, and this is what we are going to cover for the rest of this session, before working on your resume and your interviews, there are two very important things that you want to be aware of. So I have created this slide, and for those of you who might be driving or you're on your commute, take a screenshot. This is the single most important slide in this whole webinar, even if you don't remember anything else. So the first concept that I like everyone to remember is called Know the Matrix. And the second is work your funnel. Work your funnel, know the matrix helps you to understand where you are in the entire crossroads. Should you go up? Should you go sideways? Should you go diagonally or any other ways? So that's know the matrix for you. The second thing, which is work your funnel, now that is a troubleshooting tool, which we will go through with you through this session. Okay. So the matrix. Let me explain what this matrix is about and why just now we mentioned that there are a few things that you need to do before you even start working on your resume. Why we say this. So along the way, I'm going to ask Min to give us some examples of what this looks like. So let's start at the top left-hand corner of this slide. The orange box, the one that says same industry, same role, which means that when you're at a career crossroads, what is your first goal? Your first goal could be any of the four boxes. And what your goal is really determines what you need to do in order to start writing your resume, start practicing for your interviews, and start answering the questions. Tell me more about yourself. So in our experience as a career center, we see a lot of people when they are at a crossroads, they don't even know what they are actually doing, what they're actually aiming for. So many of our candidates end up making the mistake of signing up for every course, that their friends tell them to sign up for. And then after that, you find that you had trouble writing your resume, you had trouble answering the question. So tell me why I should hire you. And that is the reason why we are saying that before you even start working on your resume and everything else, be very clear what you're aiming to achieve for. So let's talk about the first box. The first box, the orange box, same industry, same role. This is what we call career progression, not pivot. So I'm going to ask Min to give us an example of what a career progression is. Say, for example, somebody is going through a career crossroads. What could the former role be, and then what could a possible target role be to be called a career progression?
Right. I think this is more easily understood, yeah, among the four pivots. Although I will extend this a little bit to say that it is a job change. This can apply to a situation of a job change as well as a situation of a career progression. So as an example, let's say you're working in a bank as a compliance officer, right? And now you are looking to perhaps join another bank in the same role. So you could be looking towards another bank for a same compliance officer role. At the same time, you could be looking at this opportunity to progress, to progress your career. And hence, your next step will be to look towards a compliance manager role in a different bank. So this is what we mean more or less by the matrix of same industry, same role.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Min. And now time to ask our audience again. How many of you are attempting this as your first goal, moving within the same industry and looking for the same role?
Should they just give a thumbs up, Eileen?
Okay, perhaps type the word same.
Okay, right. So same industry, same role, kindly type the word same in the Q&A box. Nice.
Same. Thank you, Pua. Same if possible. Thank you, Sani. Same. Malik is same. Hashid is same. Okay. So now that we understand, many of you understand what the concept of same industry, same role is. Now, if you're in the orange box, this is what we call a fairly straightforward move. In other words, all your resume has to show is progression in order for you to make the next progression. So now let's look at the other boxes. Okay, so let's look at the top right-hand corner, the gray box. Same industry, but different role. Okay, so for now, I'm going to ask Min again to give us an example of, Min, feel free to use the compliance officer as a starting point or anyone else.
Okay, sure. So same industry, different role. And if we recall the earlier example, that was an example of a compliance officer working in a bank. So given that we are still talking about the same industry, then clearly this particular candidate or job seeker is still looking to rejoin the banking industry, but perhaps in a different role. So again, if we use the same starting point, he was originally a compliance officer working in a bank, but now he is looking towards a different role. So he could be looking towards becoming a market risk officer, but still within the banking industry. So this is what we would mean by staying in the same industry, but perhaps in a different role. Yeah. Back to you, Elaine.
Yep, thank you, Min. Okay, so now question again. So for those who answered same, feel free to answer again. If you're going, those of you who are also considering same industry, different role, can you type in the comment section, same in SIDR, same industry, different role.
SIDR.
Okay, SIDR, yeah, same industry, different role. Same industry, different role. Okay, open to, okay, I hear you, Sani.
Yeah.
Okay, open to SIDR, okay. And then we'd like to know our audience a bit better. So for those of you who are considering same industry, different role, can you share with us what are some of the reasons why you want to consider a different role? Burnout. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Okay, how about the rest? Previous role is the sunset position. Thank you for that. That's really useful.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who are typing in the chat, we'd like to invite you to put in your answers within the Q&A box. Okay. Easy to explain. Okay. SIDR, easy to explain it's out of market for 2 years. Employers may not be open to hire, so open to go into SIDR where there may be more demand currently. Okay, let's talk about that. Thank you for sharing. And open to the role of bringing bread and new learning opportunities. Thank you. Happy to go for SIDR, relevant skills and knowledge. Okay, so remember this. Everyone, if you are looking at the Q&A box, I'd like you to remember when we are moving from the same industry, moving within the same industry, you're moving from a current role to a different role. Some of the motivations here are very important to you, that you need to have relevant skills and knowledge. Okay, let's talk about this whole thing after we've completed all 4 boxes. So the next box I want to talk about is the yellow box, the bottom left-hand corner. Different industry, same role. So gonna ask Min to help us explain that a bit.
Okay. Let me again discuss the example. Yeah. I'll use a different example this time.
Sure.
Let's talk about somebody who is a HR professional. Yeah. Perhaps you are a HR manager working in a bank, and now you're looking towards joining another industry, but in the same capacity of a HR manager. So in the past, you were working as an HR manager in a bank, but now you're looking to still continue in your HR function as an HR manager, but perhaps looking to join another industry like hospitality. Okay.
Okay. And now, okay, to ask our audience again, how many of you, okay, face higher barrier to entry after trying so hard to enter previous role in risk management? Okay. How many of you are considering this move now, the one that says different industry, same role, DISR? So key in DISR in the Q&A box.
Nice.
Okay, I see someone else type in. Please type in your response in the Q&A box. For the benefit of the audience, someone else has typed in IT to IT in finance, which means other sectors into IT because of exposure to MES and enterprise systems and ability and budget. Okay. Okay, DISR. Not really considering different industry, same role. Okay.
We've
If
got somebody
really
who
cannot.
says DISR if really cannot find one in banking and financial sector.
Okay. Okay, and then now we are talking about, so we've covered 3 of the 4 boxes. Now let's talk about the blue box, the one on the bottom right-hand corner. Different industry, different role. So
what about this one? So let me again think about example. Okay, here's one. Perhaps you're working as a risk manager this time. You're a market risk manager this time, again in the financial industry. All right. And now you're reaching crossroads. You're reaching a new career crossroads. And in evaluating your options for your next step in your career, you are looking towards moving to become a teacher or a lecturer in the education industry, right? So you were originally a risk manager working in a bank, and now for the next stage of your career, you're looking to become a lecturer in the education industry. I think that's quite neat. It's a different industry, different role. What do you think, Eileen? Yeah.
Yeah, extremely different.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the audience, is anyone here considering this move? DIDR. If yes, please key in DIDR into the Q&A box. Oh, there are.
Interesting.
Okay. Same role is okay. For the ones who did key in DIDR, if you would like to share, feel free to share with us your target role, your previous and your target roles. And for the person who said tried a few times to apply to the same role in a different industry, rejected upfront, even with government sectors, gave up, stick to the same industry. Okay. Thank you for that. Same, DIDR. Okay. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Wanlei. Previous role, instructor, want to go into data analytics or software engineer. So we're going to be able to share some insights here that will help you to either tighten your decision or broaden your options, okay? Now, when you're looking at this matrix, I want the audience to think about which is the most difficult to achieve, in your opinion? Which of the four boxes, put in their initials in the Q&A box, which of the four boxes are the most difficult for you? Okay, DIDR is the most difficult. And I'd like the audience to share with us why DIDR, different industry, different role, is the most difficult. Acceptance, start all over again. Okay. Thank you for sharing, and please keep your responses and your questions coming. We do have a lot to share. The reason why we designed this matrix for everyone to think through when you are considering a career move, if you're at the crossroads, right, is because this being able to see where you are in this matrix will influence everything that you put into your resume, how you market yourself, and even the people that you're talking to help get your foot in the door. Okay, why do I say this? Say for example, you are moving. For the person, I think there was someone just now who said that it was very, very difficult to get the same role but in a different industry. Okay, so the question here that everyone wants to ask yourself, right, is that if you are trying to attempt the yellow box, which is DISR, different industry but same role, what is the biggest gap that you have to close? I mean, in your experience, what is the biggest gap that you have to close in order to compete fairly for that role?
So I guess if we reflect on that example again, that was a case of a HR manager who was working in a bank, but now looking to become an HR manager in another industry like hospitality.
Oh, and thank you for the person who highlighted. I just enabled everyone to see all the responses in the Q&A box. Thank you for that. Yeah. Domain knowledge and hands-on experience. No experience, okay. Need to learn everything from scratch. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Anonymous, for helping to highlight. I hope everyone can see everyone else's responses now. I've enabled the full functions. Okay, so we want to talk about that. Okay, may have to start from, thank you, Sani, for sharing. May have to start from scratch and as a junior, and even if applicant is open, hirer may not be that open. So I want you to Okay, so for the audience, right, I think quite a few of you are considering this move, DISR. And whether it is DISR or same industry, different role, some of the barriers are always the same. Now, and I want to ask you to think about this. How many of you believe that how many of you believe that even if no, that's not the right way to say it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask a question and then have Min share with us what she observes in the market. Yeah. Okay, so how, in terms of industry knowledge, right? When you're moving from a different industry to but doing the same role, and you are clear that the gap is due to a lack of domain knowledge. Now, how many of you feel that taking a course is going to help you?
So, Eileen, would you like people to put responses into the
Yeah.
Q&A box again?
Yes. Okay. So if you think taking a course will help, say type course. And if you think that taking a course does not help, just say no course.
Yeah. So again, this is about the example of moving into a different industry. So you're looking to stay in the same functional role,
Yeah.
but joining a different industry. So
Yeah.
exactly the example of somebody who is an HR manager trying to move from a bank into hospitality. And Eileen's question there was that, do you think taking a course will help? Yeah. And many of you have very accurately pointed out, right, that the potential challenge here is going to be domain knowledge, right?
Yes.
And do you think taking up a course will help you close that gap on domain knowledge? That's the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your responses, and to a certain extent, yes. Thank you for your responses, and I'm hoping that everyone, when you hear us and then when you look at other people's response, it will help you to understand better how the employers perceive someone who is trying to get into a role with the skills but without the domain knowledge. So some of the I'm going to Min, I believe you've got a lot of examples to share in working with employers. So let us share what some of the participants think, and then I'll invite Min to share some experiences with employers that she has had, and hopefully this helps to inform your decisions. Okay, so depends on, Sandy says, Malik put in a very useful point. So it will not help because courses are just very basic in the market with some help, meaning that certain industries are so deep that there is no, number one, there is no course that will help you to bridge that gap of having spent years in the industry. So an industry like maybe depending on the role and the industry itself, the difference can be quite, the gap can be quite big. So for example, from HR manager from a say a bank, to assuming you want to move into an HR role within an industry like Grab. Say you now want to do payroll functions for a highly shift-based transient worker kind of industry, Grab. So banking to Grab, while the HR principles may be the same in terms of payroll and all that, however, certain domain knowledge, like you may not know how to price workers, platform workers, for example, you may not know the labor policies that govern hiring workers or platform workers. So that is one example of a gap that may not always be closable with a course. So that's one thing that maybe taking a course can help get a foot in. Okay. And no courses. Okay, thank you. So Min, over to you to share on some examples.
Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? A lot of times we like to explore opportunities, new opportunities in another industry, in another sector, but it can feel quite inhibiting, right? The bar can be quite high to climb. And as much as we think that our functional skills are transferable, and indeed they are, but employers these days are looking beyond just technical competencies, right? So employers these days looks at technical competencies that is a given, but beyond that, they are also looking at practical domain experience. Yeah, somebody who is aware of how things are done and the specifics of the industry that they are in. Yeah. So sometimes, as many of you have alluded to, courses itself may not be sufficient in closing that gap. Yeah. So if you're looking towards using a course to close that gap, there are perhaps certain things you want to look out for. For example, does that course offer you project experience? Yeah. There are some courses out there that are very interesting in the way that some courses are developed or designed in a way that is specific to an industry. If you are able to identify such courses, for example, if you want to become an HR practitioner in hospitality and you are able to identify specific HR courses for this hospitality industry,
Mm.
then by all means, because those kind of courses are indeed helpful beyond just helping you understand the industry specifics better and what you're trying to do in HR over there. The other benefit in going for such a course is that you make friends who have same interests in the same industry. And beyond just your own course-mates, your lecturers and your instructors are also a good source of network, right? So that would be helpful also from a beyond a content perspective is also helpful from a networking perspective. Earlier, I mentioned the point about projects. So the point here is that there are some courses out there that offers practical experience in the form of projects, in the form of capstone projects. Now, such courses may also be useful because when you're doing a capstone, what do you have to do? You perhaps will have to talk to industry practitioners, giving you more insights about what's happening over there. And that is the value of that capstone project, again, is that hands-on experience, which I always encourage my candidates and you know my pool of job seekers to also take this opportunity to highlight in your resume. Yeah. So short of actual professional experience in that industry, your capstone project experience or your assignment could be used to demonstrate some experience. Yeah. So it's useful in that sense. But we don't want to make assumption that simply by going for a course, by simply going for a particular program, that will allow you automatic entry into the industry. That's what we want to be a bit more careful about. Yeah. Hope that explains, Eileen.
Yeah, thank you, Min.
Yeah.
So the reason why we wanted to make this a point is because many of our candidates come to us with this hope that taking a course is going to help you get your foot in the door in a different industry, but in the same role. And they have by the time they come to us, they have already signed up, sunk money and time to attempt to take a course, thinking that the end of it will lead you to a job. So what we're trying to help everyone remember here is before you sink your money and your time into a course, think about number one, does the course offer practical project experience that you can put on your resume in lieu of actual ground experience? And number two, does the course offer you sufficient platforms to expand your network by way of the peers and the lecturers and the facilitators you meet? And does all these benefits does the size of these benefits justify the time and the money that you are willing to invest into the course for the purpose of getting that job, that foot in the door? So that's the consideration. And why it's important is that too many people have resumes that are full of skills future courses. Okay. and they have zero experience. And we say this from a place of wanting to help everyone get more efficient with your job search. That we see too many people with resumes that don't have the requisite experience and or domain knowledge, but 20, 30 courses gap. So from an efficiency point of view for job search, it does not work. So if you're in that situation, we encourage you to work it out with your career advisor. And if you don't have one yet, please come and sign up with us. In case we forgot to mention just now, this service, one-on-one career coaching with our candidates, is free for Singaporeans and PRs. Okay. With big push by government and Skills Future for upskilling to stay relevant. Different industry, different role. Okay, I like this question, and thank you for thank you. Oh, okay. Someone else put in some very useful points. Jaslyn, thank you for that. How about industry certifications? Okay. I will ask Min to highlight some examples. Say, for example, to be an insurance agent, you need to complete some of these regulated certifications. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to, but I'm inviting Min to speak about that.
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Jaslyn. I think it's a very good question indeed. So I think going back to what we were earlier discussing, whether it's industry certification or courses, the point is to look out for that few factors that will help you in gaining access to the industry. So one being practical hands-on experience, right? So something like a capstone project, does that certification course offers you that opportunity to make contact with the industry? Does that certification course offers you the opportunity to get to know people in the industry so that you can expand your network, yeah, and know people and know more about the industry, what is happening in the industry? Because all these are useful and actually very, very important in helping you build up that degree of domain knowledge that employers will be looking for when they look at your resume or when they invite you for a discussion at an interview. Yeah. So you want to be mindful that you want to be able to say something, yeah, something about that industry rather than to simply fall back on your functional competency. Yeah. Because like what we said again earlier, what the employer will be looking out in hiring the next employee is beyond functional technical competencies. They're also looking out for your domain knowledge. And it's important for you to demonstrate that you have some knowledge of what's happening in the industry because you are looking to join the industry, right? So as such, it would be assumed that you have an interest in the industry. So if you are going to come across as interested in the industry, but you're not able to articulate anything meaningful about the industry, then in the mind of the interviewer, that is a question mark, right? Logical? Yeah.
And thank you, Min, for that. I like that point because remember just now, before we started talking about this matrix, I mentioned that you should know where you are in the matrix and where you are headed towards. Because if you are trying to establish a perception, your credibility in terms of domain knowledge, not only do you need to, not only might industry certifications help you, but even things that you put on your resume, the kind of LinkedIn posts that you put out will help you to establish your credibility. So, which is why if you are not clear about where are you going in the matrix itself, you can end up doing a lot of work, but none of the work that you're doing is contributing to your ultimate objective, which is to land a job in the actual box that you want to. And thank you and we now want to address the next attendee who said, with the big push by government and Skills Future for upskilling to stay relevant amid economic transformation. In reality, do hiring companies value these in a DIDR situation? So my take is that in every situation, economic transformation or not, different industry, different role, we hear testimonies like this all the time. Sure, there are people who do it. the question that we all have to ask ourselves if we are in this situation where we are trying to pursue a DIDR maneuver, different industry, different role, is why should the employer hire me? Why should the employer favor me in place of people who have the existing domain knowledge and who have the existing skills? So when you are able to answer that question to your own satisfaction, say, for example, there's some X factor about you, you bring with you different networks and you bring with you a certain thing that the company wants to have, then you're ready to make that maneuver. So I hope that this will help many of you who are considering this move, DIDR, to be more intentional when you want to sign up for courses, because in this very competitive climate, every employer is only going to take the person who is best fit for that job. So aside for every job, right, every employer is going to put out a job description that is asking for a perfect candidate. And we know that perfect candidates don't exist. So then the next best that every employer will go for is almost always someone who meets at least 60 to 70% of the job description requirements. So and we come and we when we work with our candidates, we try to be very efficient about this. And so at least for me, our advice to candidates is always, if you do not even meet 70% of the job requirements, really think twice. Should you even invest time to type out your resume, apply for the job? Are you better off investing your time elsewhere? So yeah,
I totally agree. The benchmark is really 70%. And it's really about efficiency as well, right? Because I think we have all heard of job applicants who have sent tens and even hundreds of resumes to very low response. Yeah. And at times it can be disappointing. Yeah, I don't deny that. And you wonder, your effort in sending out that hundreds of applications, where is it running to? And rather than spending more time to send another hundreds of resume to job applications, perhaps it's timely just to take a little bit of a step back to ask ourselves, are we sending our applications to the right jobs? Yeah. And the benchmark there, a useful benchmark there, as Eileen has alluded to, is indeed 70%. If I find myself not meeting at least 70% of the hiring criteria, then the likelihood is perhaps I'm not going to get traction from the application. Yeah. Yeah. So useful for, I guess, our attendees here to think about. Yeah.
Thank you, Min, for that. And for that, right, I also wanted to share with you this, all our tips from other people who have made the mistakes and so on and so forth. When we say 70% of the job description requirements, we are talking about the hard skill requirements. Requirements like able to work in a team, good interpersonal skills, detail-oriented and highly analytical. These are not job requirements. And if you only meet these requirements, but you don't meet the other requirements that says at least 1 year's experience in this, then our suggestion is really consider whether you want to spend time actually applying for that job. Might be a waste of time. Yeah. And the other thing is, there are also many jobs that are being posted in the portals nowadays that says entry level. And then the job description actually gives you something very, it is quite specific domain knowledge. For example, corporate actions. And then even though the job description says entry level or no experience required, guess what? The thing is, everybody who has no experience in that domain will apply. And within this huge mountain of applicants, the company is still going to choose who they think best fits their requirements. So in that sense, there is still a lot of competition, even for entry-level roles.
That's right. So the question is, what's going to make you stand out, right, in this ocean of competition? Yeah, in spite
Yeah.
of the fact that the hiring criteria does not seem very challenging. Yeah, you may think that it is something you can do, but so does many applicants out there. So the question to ask yourself is really, by applying to this job, um, where is it? What is it that will allow myself to stand out against this pool of competition? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Min. And next up, we are ready to talk about the gray box, which is SIDR, same industry, different role.
Yeah.
So if you can see same industry, different role, different industry, same role, they more or less have different magnitudes of the same challenge, which is a lack of either the domain knowledge and or a lack of some skill sets. The defining benchmark for everyone that I hope will help you to make your decision when deciding whether should I spend another 2 hours typing out this application or not, is that you must meet at least 70% before you know you have a fighting chance of even competing for that job. So I hope this helps you to make your process more efficient. And okay, I like this next comments. Yes, and to address what Harshit has said, yes, there used to be a program like TIFIP. Currently, we don't have any information on whether there's going to be a next run, so no comments on that. Anonymous says, certain industries that are aggressively hiring may lower their hiring criteria. Healthcare. I agree. So my take is that places like healthcare is roles in healthcare are always going to be in demand. And the challenge that many people within banking sector who have a desire to go there is that like it or not, you're not going to get the same salary. At least, yeah. So yes, they may lower their hiring criteria, but depending on their role, as a whole, healthcare isn't going to pay the same as banking. So one question that you might have if you're currently in the sector and you're considering going out of the sector is that am I expected to suffer a pay cut if I were to change my industry? So answer to that question is maybe, maybe not. And to do that, to answer your question, you need to do a lot of research. And by that, we don't mean just desktop research, not just asking Google, but actually talking to people who know the market. Yeah.
But it's also a good opportunity to evaluate one's priorities, isn't it, Elaine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought, yeah.
yeah, there's no one uniform
Yes.
answer. There's no one textbook answer that applies to everybody, simply because our priorities are all different at different stage of our life. Yeah.
And also the other thing that okay, so in our practice, right, we often work with a lot of candidates who are at a career crossroads, and then their previous roles were very high, either in seniority or in salary. And even when they are considering okay, so when they are considering pivots, what we call pivots, which means they are switching either the industry or the role, many of them get stuck with this question. But and this is how it sounds like to us, yeah. But I am only demanding 50% on my last drawn. Why won't employer give me a chance? How many of you have heard that before? Okay, I like all the questions that are coming. So the purpose why I was asking that question, right, is because many people think that, my last job was a very expensive role. I was paid a lot of money. And now that I'm willing to put myself down to go for a different role, why won't people take me in? So this therein is the thing that is going to hurt you, because the assumption here is that just because you lowered your salary requirements means employer will be willing to take you in, even if you do not have the same level of domain knowledge and or skill level as these other people you're competing with.
So Elaine, really, for me, this is a question about reference point, right? So when we make statements like, I'm willing to take 50% pay cut, or I'm willing to take 20% pay cut in order to do this role, our reference point is still within ourselves, right? Because our reference point then is ourselves, our last paycheck. Yeah. But in reality, the reference point that you should really be considering is the reference point of the market out there. Yeah. What exactly is the market paying for the role in the industry that you're aiming for? That should be your true reference point.
Thank you, Min, for that. I put it into the comments for everyone. Yeah. Okay. I like the questions that are coming. Okay. How should I interpret entry-level roles that require a minimum of 3 years of experience? This appears to be a common trend in the current job market. Okay, Min, I'm going to leave this to you.
It's just getting harder and harder, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the bar is just getting harder and harder. The truth is, if it's asking for 3 years experience, it is asking for 3 years experience. I guess the point is that these days, fresh graduates have also a lot of internship opportunities. Yeah. And from the perspective of employers, a lot of times this internship opportunities could come across as very, very meaningful and count towards the accumulation of experience. Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact that the role is an entry-level role from the perspective of the organization. Yeah. So looking at this, I would defer to the point that this is a role that requires 3 years of experience. And again,
Yes.
I'll use that 70% benchmark to measure where I am against the hiring criteria. And
Yeah.
essentially, I'm saying that I'll be more confident in getting a response to that job application if I meet 7 out of 10 of the hiring criteria. Yeah, that remains the benchmark. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question, and thank you, Min, for answering, because that was another point we wanted to bring across, that in job descriptions, the words entry level does not mean that they will take in anyone who wants to pivot in. Okay, so I hope this helps, and I like the next question as well. In this current economy, is it even possible to do DIDR? It is possible, however, may not be at your former salary, your former level of job benefits. And yeah, it is always possible, but it really depends on where with your starting point and your target point. Yeah. And of course, if you're talking about something very clear cut, which are always all on the skills future kind of advertisements, it's like take a baking course, you can learn to bake a cake and then set up shop. So it is easy to learn to bake a cake, but it's not easy to get someone to buy your cake. So it is possible, just perhaps not at the price that you want it to be at. And if you need help, for all those who are asking questions, thank you so much for your questions. Again, we are asking you, please, if you are not already working with one of us, sign up to work with one of us. Yeah. Is the contract role worth it? Okay, so for me, whenever my candidates ask, okay, I've got an offer for a contract role, should I take it or not? I always ask them this question. Do you have the time and the money to wait out this? That means to reject this contract job, how long more are you prepared to go jobless? Question number 1, how long more are you prepared to go jobless while waiting for a permanent job? Number 2, do you have enough money to cover your financial commitments while waiting for that permanent job? And number 3, is this contract job going to add to the skills that you want to build in or that you want to maintain?
Very true, Eileen. Certainly the right questions to ask. And I guess if I may add on, I guess it is the case that our careers team over at IBF have also been observing that there's a trend towards more contract jobs out there.
Yeah.
So if we are simply going to reject a contract job for the reason that it is a contract job, we may find ourselves giving up very valuable opportunity to accumulate true experience. Yeah.
Yep. So I hope this answers your question. And if it doesn't, please type in another question and help us to be able to answer your question better. Okay, next question. Is age going to be a major issue, especially for DIDR? Or what is the age considered by employers as being too old, where they would rather hire a younger, just graduated candidate? So again, I like what Min said just now about the reference point. The reference point is not my age. The reference point is what is that employer's reference point, that company's reference point. Why I say this is because if you are applying for a job in, say, big tech, a company like ByteDance, most of the people working in ByteDance need to be very on top of things. They are on TikTok all the time. They know how the algorithm works and they function like that. So, yeah, I'm going to ask Min to share her viewpoints. Min's got a lot of experience in this.
I think Eileen is being very, very generous towards me. She is equally experienced, if not more, but certainly happy to share what we have been observing and seeing. Before I answer the question, I like to reflect on what another attendee has earlier mentioned about markets, industry where they are aggressively hiring. For example, healthcare. So I guess it is a case when we are thinking about situations like DIDR, if we are looking at entering into a different industry, different role. And if this industry, if this function that we are aiming, that we're targeting towards is in an area that is aggressively hiring, then what is the implication there?
Yeah.
The implication there is that perhaps competition is not so stiff. Yeah. So when we are in a situation where the competition is not so stiff, then we are in a better position to negotiate, right? We are in a better position to bargain, right? Whether bargaining in terms of age, yeah, perhaps simply because the competition is not so great, hence the receptiveness to a broad diversity of range in participants may be better. Yeah. So I think the point to consider here is competition. Yeah. Similarly or conversely, if the industry or the functional role that we are targeting towards is in an area that is highly competitive, everybody wants, right? The fresh grads want, the mid-careers want, the mature professionals also are looking towards this area. Then the likelihood is that the employers, the hiring managers have a very, very big pool of candidates to choose from. And when they have a very, very big pool of candidates to choose from, they will choose according to their preference, right? Be it salary benchmark, be it taking off every single hiring criteria there is on the list, perhaps going beyond the 70% benchmark, right? Right. So think about it, right? So in a very, very competitive market, the benchmark in that case may be tilted towards beyond 70%, 80%, sometimes 90% when I speak with my pool of candidates. Yeah. Conversely, in areas where the hiring is not so competitive because, there are not so many applicants who have identified this as a niche area or an area of their interest, then as a job applicant, you could have more bargaining power. And when we talk about that 70% benchmark, it will be tilted towards the lower, perhaps even 50% by taking off 5 out of 10 of the hiring criteria, you will be able to land a job successfully. Yeah, yeah, something to think about.
Thank you, Min. I really like that. And thank you for the question. And I also like to think that there are industries that favor mature workers. Say, for example, if you are a coach like us, you really wouldn't want to be talking to somebody who just graduated from school, right? If you're looking to talk to a coach. So, I mean, just an example. Okay. Um, Thank you for that. And regarding state of joblessness, how long will it be before it becomes a red flag for employers? We never like to give hard numbers, right? The answer is always it all depends. Number one, it all depends on why you needed that career break. Number two, it again depends on what you were doing during that break, because many people use the break to do something that actually contributes to the next job. So the combinations are endless. And if you are facing a career gap and you want to get back into the workforce, if you haven't already started working with a coach, please work with a coach. The coach can help you to um, package that in the way your resume is written and in the way you answer questions regarding the gap.
That's right.
Hmm.
And I've
Okay.
put in once again our email address, right? So if you're interested in talking to one of us, please feel free to drop us an email. Let me put
Yes.
it on the chat once again.
Thank you, Min.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oops.
and I like this next question. Is it bleak trying to get a job in the banking and finance industry as DIDR? Different industry, different role, especially since IBF is part of the finance industry. Okay, and again, it's not a clear-cut answer. It really all depends on the skills and the domain knowledge you had before you are trying, I mean, in your current role versus what are you trying to get into within the banking sector itself. So as a general rule, there are always what we call low entry barrier roles within the banking sector. However, as a general rule, they tend to be the sales roles. So I'm going to ask Min to give us some insights.
Yeah. Sales roles tends to be the evergreen roles if my candidates are going to ask me,
Mm,
why this is the case. Actually, it's very, very simple to understand. We all know that Singapore is a major financial center in the world, right? So according to the global standing, many times we are up among the top 5 financial centers in the world. Yeah. But truly, what is driving Singapore's status as one of the premium financial center in the world is really because of wealth management. Right. So I'm sure you have read about how wealth from high net worth families or individuals continue to flow into Singapore. So the AUM inflow into Singapore is still very, very strong in spite of macro uncertainties out there. And you have heard terms like family office, right? So our regulators, are also very, very supportive in promoting and growing a wealth management center. And hence, all this is driving the need for more relationship managers, right? And for more relationship managers and financial advisors. And these roles, whether you're RM or you're FA, this tends to be sales in nature. Yeah. And that's the reason why sales roles are evergreen in our Singapore job market. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Min. So thank you everyone for sharing this. Now, the reason why we spend so much time on this segment, this whole matrix, is because we wanted everyone to be clear where you're headed. Because where you come from will influence and what you're trying to do, whether you are trying to do SIDR or DISR, will influence what you put on your resume and what you need to emphasize in your resume and who are the people that you meet that you need to work with to help you get into the right doors. Okay. And next up, and that was what to do first before working on your resume. And so now we've completed the first part of this circle. And I also wanted to explain that we put arrows here because in the course of our career, we are going to move many times between the different boxes. And every time we move, we then have to work a different funnel. Now, what is this funnel? Okay, the funnel looks like this. And this funnel is a way for everyone to help everyone learn how to troubleshoot your job search. Okay, so in LinkedIn job portals, I like it. Okay, thank you for the questions. A lot of them just came in.
Interesting ones.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, let's take time to answer these questions. Then we can talk about the
Right.
funnel.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, keep the questions coming. Very, very nice. What are the ways to get hired in sales role in finance, do well in it, happy in career and life? Very cute.
Ella, I suggest you get in touch with us. The email address is in the chat. We'd love to chat you about this. Yeah.
Thank you for that. In the LinkedIn job portal, I see job postings having over 100 applicants, and some can even reach that number within 1 to 2 days. Do you think it's not worth applying as the HR will be swamped by many CVs and my CV might not even be seen? So, this question is very nicely answered by my funnel. Okay, so allow us to answer using the funnel. Okay, have been in a long-term contract. So let's look at some of the other questions before deciding when to jump into the funnel. So we have been, this person has been in the long-term contract roles for 3 years plus. How does the future employer feel about the candidate? You know what, my encouragement to you is, right, don't worry about that because a lot of it a lot of how you feel about yourself comes out through the way you write your LinkedIn, the way you post on your LinkedIn, the way you write your resume, and the way you present yourself during the interview. And all of this will positively influence whoever is hiring you. So instead of starting off with this, so the first stigma that I'd encourage you to get rid of is that I've been in a contract role, therefore I'm stigmatized, therefore I'm disadvantaged. Please let go of this belief because in our experience, contract roles are the norm now. There's no more stigma, and same goes for retrenched people. These days, there's no more stigma attached to contract roles and or retrenched people who have been retrenched.
Totally agree.
So I hope this helps you. And for Lloyd, in banking credit for 2.5 years, left for a new job. After working in a new job 3 months, job wasn't suitable, no choice but to leave. After that, out of job for many months. Nowadays, most jobs have a long list of criteria stating X working knowledge is the must. How do I get back to a similar job? So, like Min said, the best thing to do is to work with your career advisor. So this is a question that's best answered together with your career advisor.
So that we can discuss more about your specifics. Yeah. We'd love to get to know you better, Loy, so feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, interesting question again. For the TIFIT program where applicants had tracks they can apply for, does these tracks indicate possible areas where demand is or where jobs can be found for? My suggestion is to take every data point as one data point. So for example, if you want to rely on the TIFIT tracks as one data point in your research, you need to have many other data points to validate your own field. What are these other data points? It could be the abundance of job roles posting in LinkedIn itself. That is another data point. And then not many people use this, but I personally use Reddit. So Reddit can be another data point for you to get a sense of whether the demand is there or not. And another encouragement I want to give everyone is that, look, it doesn't matter if the demand is in a certain area, if you have neither the skills, nor the interest, nor the desire for it. So, and the reason we say this, right, is because we have too many people who work with us who come to us in a state of desperation because why I studied this degree because it was in demand, even though I hated this course. Then number two, now I cannot find job because now the demand has shifted. So your best bet against a future where AI is dominating everything is to be very fast at learning and unlearning, and secondly, to pursue what you are good at and what market is willing to pay you for.
Again, very well said, Eileen.
Thank you, Min. So I hope this helps encourage you that little bit. And now we're ready to move on to the next question. How come banking, like always, contract role, are we at risk to apply since this might be backfilling some work before AI takes over? Now, this is a very, very wide question. There is no way we can give you a generic question. Some roles are highly. Okay, the way to know whether AI can take over that role is number one, how much human intervention does that role currently need? Number two, can it be easily automated? That means, can you write a macro or a script or a co-pilot agent to do it? And a third consideration is, can that job be done cheaper by another country elsewhere? So,
But I like what you earlier said, Eileen. So with respect to this question, I would say that there's no alternative to constantly upskilling, reskilling, unskilling and reskilling again. Unfortunately, we're down this path where technology will only become faster and better. Yeah. So we are in the situation where that upskilling will have to be a continuous journey. In fact, part of our career journey, right? So yeah, I hope that is some food for thought. Yeah. Okay.
okay, we have got some interesting questions. Can I ask what is IBF job applicants' success rate for finding a job? Now, we don't have that data to share. And also, remember what we said just now, it doesn't matter if there's an area of growth, because if the area of growth jobs, right, does not have demand for your skills, it doesn't help you. So similarly, if other people have X percentage of success rate in finding a job, but your skills are different from other people's, it's knowing that statistic does not help you. So what we are trying to encourage everyone here is, if you know, if you're always trying to base your actions on, okay, percentages, okay, if you see X percent of your friends get a job in this sector, therefore you must get a job in this sector, it's really not going to help you, because these percentages, when applied to individuals, do not really work. So rather, what we want to encourage everyone is that, look, if you're not already with a career coach, sign up with us. I can promise you we have a team of career coaches who will really run the extra mile with you, provided you are willing to do the hard work yourself. So, and for that person who said something about your career advisor, can you feel free to send us a message in the chat box, and we'll take it off. We'll take it up separately. Yes. We can keep upskilling, but no jobs. Okay, so this is where we then start to look at the funnel, okay? And why we mentioned the matrix just now. Within the matrix thing is where you need to find, if your original role does not exist anymore, what is the next role where you have got at least 80% of the skills and you have a fair fighting chance for. So this is what we're trying to do. So recommended career sites to find jobs for now. Okay, my biggest suggestion is number one, LinkedIn. Number two, My Careers Future. Is it okay not to not use LinkedIn as I'm resistant? Okay, the purpose of LinkedIn is for people to find you. So if you are not willing to be put up there on LinkedIn, and of course we can talk about how much information you put on LinkedIn. The question you ask yourself is, if you're not willing to be found on LinkedIn, then every day there are actually employers or small companies who are looking for people on LinkedIn who will not be able to find you. So, question for thought. Okay, and for the person who said, how did we end up being a career coach? Okay, I can tell you this. I was a job hopper in my first 10 years. I probably changed like 10 jobs in 10 years, and some of them were like 6 months. I made so many mistakes in my own job search that I became very good at writing resumes and nailing interviews. People started asking me for advice, and that's how I became a career coach. And so again, my encouragement to everyone is, look, everyone makes mistakes. I did. We're here to help. So hit us up. No, it is not okay to meet coaches in Starbucks. This goes against our company policy. Yeah, I hope this helps.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now we're ready to, okay, there's somebody, okay. So now we're ready to talk about the funnel, and I want to thank everyone for all your very interesting questions. Please keep them coming. So now that you have identified an area that you have got 70% match for, at least is 70% is the baseline, right? You now talk about troubleshooting your whole job search by job application. So if you look at why this is a funnel, the reason is a funnel is because, and I want everyone to remember this, is that when there is a funnel at every stage, when you're going from top to bottom of the funnel, employer, the funnel is looking to eliminate someone from every stage. And so as a job seeker going through the funnel, hoping to get to the bottom, which is where the decision maker is, what you're trying to do is to avoid elimination at every stage. And I hope that what you can remember is this. For example, knowing this will help you to answer many questions like, should my resume be 5 pages or 10 pages? Then the question is, okay, will 10 pages help me to be eliminated or not? So if you think, okay, 10 pages will help me move down better, will help me to be less eliminated than the person with 5 pages, then by all means. Then the next question could be, should I put my photo in my resume or not? So again, you have to ask yourself, will my face cause me to be eliminated or not? So I've never put my face in my resumes because I don't want my face to be the reason why I didn't get put through the funnel, right? So I hope this will help you to troubleshoot that first part. Okay, yeah. And in terms of job application, that very first stage, right? Many people apply for what we call the wrong jobs. So if your previous company called you one title, for example, a business analyst, but actually you were doing the job of a data analyst, then in your job application stage, you're forever looking for a business analyst. You will find that, number one, you don't meet the job requirements, and number two, you find that there are actually no jobs for you to apply for. So this is the first stage. Okay. And so back to now we're ready to answer that person who said in the LinkedIn job portal, there are many jobs having over 100 applicants. Some can even reach that number within 1-2 days. Is it not worth applying? HR will be swamped with many CVs and your CV might not even be seen. Now, the thing is you have to understand that when you apply via LinkedIn, there are a lot of inbuilt filters that LinkedIn uses to sieve out applicants, which is why we have been sharing with you the percentage fit because the algorithm within LinkedIn itself and the filters that HR puts in will automatically eliminate people based on what that job required in the first place. So then to answer your question, Does 100 equals no need to apply? No, it does not, because it depends on if your fit is 99% to that job description, then you can be fairly sure that you're going to get through that. So that's one consideration for you. And number two, the next stage we're going to talk about, why people don't clear the resume. So remember, after every stage is looking to go to the next stage. So the purpose of a resume is to help you get to an interview. And in our experience, resumes don't result in interviews for only three reasons. Reason number one, you don't meet the job requirement at all, and you think you did. So in that case, that's an area where nobody can, there is nothing that you can do about that because you simply don't have the skills or the knowledge required. Number two, you meet the requirements, you can do the job, but your resume is not reflecting that. Now, here's where a coach can help you. And number three, the job does not exist. So again, number three is a valid reason in itself. So many times, too many people send out resumes, and then you never know why you don't get an interview. So when you work with a coach, what the coach will do with you is to go through this process. Okay, is it a job that you don't even qualify for? Or number two, is it something, is it a case of your presentation issue? So if after eliminating all these and you still, there will always be cases where you met the requirements, your resume is good and clear, you still don't have a call back. Sometimes the reasons can be many. It can be the job was never there in the first place, or it can be that the job got taken off due to budget constraints at the last minute. So these are thereabouts the only reasons why resumes don't get passed. And then, yeah, so should we remove? Okay, thank you for the questions. I see more questions now. Okay. Should we remove irrelevant work experience from resumes? For me, I'm going to leave Min to share her viewpoint. I would keep all work experience there because I feel that if you remove irrelevant work experience, sometimes you leave strange gaps that raise more question marks. That's one. And should you keep the resume to max one page? US companies generally one page. In Singapore context, 2 to 3 pages is acceptable. Okay. Yeah. So Min, leave you to chip in for this.
So regarding irrelevant work experience,
Yeah. Should you
that
remove
is
or not?
actually, yeah, that is actually quite a common question I get from my candidate. There are some of us out there who have accumulated 20 or even 30 years of work experience. It's hardly possible to put everything down into 2 or 3 pages of resume, isn't it? I believe that is the challenge that Anonymous must be feeling now for asking this question. And I would say sometimes it is okay, it is quite okay to be brief about irrelevant experience. So in the sense that removing may cause another problem, like Eileen has mentioned, if removing it totally may lead to other questions from the interviewing manager because you would then have to explain why the career gaps, right, as per your resume. However, what we can do to reconcile between having to squeeze everything into 2 to 3 pages and then wanting to explain everything of what we have done before, we can reconcile in the sense of being very brief about irrelevant work experience. So choose your last 2 or 3 experience or 3 experience over the last 5 years or so, expand on it where it's relevant to the job that you're applying to. For other experience that are from too long ago, or for experience that are irrelevant to the job that you're applying to, you can choose to be very, very brief about it, simply putting in 2 or 3 lines, or even just putting in the organization name and your job title when you're in that role. I think that will suffice for the purpose of explaining what you have been doing, but not necessarily expanding on it because your experience there is hardly going to add points or to bring you down the funnel to where you want to get to, which is the end of the funnel, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I
Thank
hope that
you.
explains. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for the question and thank you, Min, for your fantastic answer. Yeah, so I just want to again repeat to everyone this funnel. I hope everyone takes away from this funnel that it is a troubleshooting tool. So if you're stuck, if you're not getting interviews, it means that there's something going on at the resume stage. And if you're at the interview stage, as our next anonymous person is saying, getting called for interviews, a number are intensive and not yet converting into an offer, at which point will it indicate that there could be an issue with my interview skills that needs a relook? Very good question. And yes, indeed, if you are going deep into rounds 2, 3, 4, 5 and not converting, definitely please discuss this with the coach. There is something that we can work on there because then it shows that your resume is attracting enough interviews. So you likely do not need to do any more work with that. It's likely something you're saying wrong or something with the way you're saying, you're expressing yourself. And herein is something that I have observed in people who are using AI for your answers. So I'm not sure if our audience can see it, but we do see a lot of resumes that are generated by AI. And the language is very distinctive, and then it filters into the candidates. Many of you would be using AI to help you write your scripts for your interviews. And if you're not careful, right, it can cause you to sound very scripted and not authentic. And this in turn causes you to fail what we call the vibe check during the interview. So, and the thing is, when you, after the interview, you didn't get a job, then you go and ask your friends, your coach, and your colleagues or whatever, say, hey, this is what they asked, and this is what I said. How come I didn't get the job? So on paper, it will always look like you said the right thing, but because of this thing called vibe check, which happens very often with people using AI to script their interviews, you may have failed that interview for that reason. And the reason why I wanted everyone to focus on the matrix is because if your whole story, your passion, your interest, why you want this job, why you are interested in that job, if it's not coming through in the interview stage, right? Many times that is a possible reason why you're not clearing multiple interviews. Yeah. So, Min, over to you.
I totally agree with you, Eileen. I think coherence is very important. So like what we mentioned earlier, if you are looking to apply for the job, then inherently you must be interested in that organization as well as in the job. And hence you should be able to articulate some enthusiasm and some passion over the role that you're being interviewed for, right? And at the same time, you should also be able to say something about the company, right? The last thing you want is that, you walk into the interview and, the interviewer asks you, what do you know about company? And you said nothing, right? So coherence is very important. You want to come across as interested. You want to come across as enthusiastic. Yeah. So a lot of times when our candidates approach us for interview advice, I would suggest that we do a mock interview together. Yeah. So it's not just the content that we are looking out for. We are not just looking out for what you are saying, what you are communicating through your verbal language, right? But we are also looking out for your body language, what
Yes.
you may be unconsciously communicating or conveying through your body language that may perhaps leave some question marks in the head of the interviewer. Yeah. Okay, Elaine, I hope that's
Yes.
yeah.
And I'm aware that we are running to the end. So let me quickly round up by answering the questions that some of you have posted. And then while I'm doing that, I'm going to call on Min to help us put up shall we put up the poll now?
I guess so, because we are into 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So
So
let's not hold everybody back and let me launch the poll now.
Okay, so while you're doing the poll,
There you are.
audience, please help us with the poll. I will quickly answer everybody else's questions.
That's right.
So
5 questions.
yes,
You'll
so
be
what to
really, really
do to
helpful. Yeah.
be happier, more energetic, feel more rested, feel better, more successful? Please come and talk to a coach and let the coach work with you to set up a support system. Okay, short and sharp answer. Okay, Malik, thank you for sharing this. Not getting interview may or may not be age or something like that, but troubleshoot with your coach. Is it common that interview process is 4 to 10 rounds? It really depends on the role. And ghosted. So again, ghosting happens for many reasons. And our encouragement to anyone, if you're being ghosted, is look, just move on. After an interview, write down the questions and your answers so that you can improve. But beyond that, move on. Don't lose sleep over why I was rejected or not called up because it steals precious time for you for other jobs. Okay? So for Lloyd, thank you for sharing. We also want to say that there is the rule that I give everyone for when they look for different career coaches is that eat the meat and spit out the bones. So you can seek advice from a lot of different people, but at the end of the day, I encourage everyone to take what you can from all the people you talk to and just run with it. Drop whatever is not useful to you. And then, okay, and before everyone leaves, I also want to encourage everyone, right? The most important thing in this slide is actually the green arrow, networking. So for the audience, I wanted to ask the audience, right, how many of you know someone who actually found a job because you knew the decision maker in that situation? So audience, if you're still here, please just say yes if you know someone and no if you don't. And so the overall picture is this. There is still hiring today. We don't know how much or how little, but the point is that if you really want to make your job search very, very efficient, then start with networking. And by networking, we're not talking about spamming all your contacts and saying, please give me a job. But we're talking about really farming your contacts, building relationships as a lifestyle. So for more tips, please follow us on LinkedIn and um, for those of you who are with your coaches, we will be running more of these soon. So just stay on our mailing list and yeah, okay. Is it worth to get an external recruiter, headhunter? Okay, remember this. It's all about how much money you're willing to spend. And number two, remember that recruiters and or headhunters work primarily for the employer, not for the client. Okay? No, okay, not in finance. Okay.
I hope you can still hear me, but it's been lovely here to be here today.
Yeah. And again, I think Min has put our address there. So welcome to connect with Min and myself on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Okay,
And
are we ready? Have we answered every question? Say
I believe we have covered everything.
yes.
Da, 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 da.
Okay. Okay, about knowing the interviewer, but not offering to connect for you with you. Okay, so this is the thing, right? When we network, a lot of people think that it's about just spamming all your contacts, and some of them you haven't even kept in touch with them for 5 years, 10 years. And then when you call them out of the blue, your only request is, can you link me up with your colleague who is the headhunter or something like that? So my suggestion and encouragement to you is be authentic when you build when you build your network, be prepared to give people value and not just use people for to get a job. Because when you go in with the mindset to use people to get a job, again, vibe check. People can feel it. It's all about authenticity and getting to make relationships and so on. And the next the thing that I want everyone to walk away with, I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, but those of you who are having problems, please message us privately. I know someone wrote in about a career advisor. Kindly drop us your email in the chat. It only comes to us, and let us take a look at it. Yeah. Technical roles, yes, common to have technical tests during the interview. Very common. Okay. No, job recruitment agencies should not take commissions from job seeker. And if you find any job that takes commission from job seekers, I think that's a scam. Okay, thank you everyone for staying with us. Thank you for spending time with us. We hope to see you either in our next webinar and or LinkedIn. Connect with us. And I wish you all the best and be encouraged, everyone. Help is here.